Greetings, OSL friends and family. I share with you a short reading from Matthew's Gospel from the Message translation of the Bible, Matthew chapter 10, verses 41 and 42. In this passage, we hear Jesus speaking about being messengers of good news in both the ways we share and receive welcome, support, and encouragement. Jesus says, "It is a large work I've called you into, but don't be overwhelmed by it. It's best to start small. Give a cool cup of water to someone who is thirsty, for instance. The smallest act of giving or receiving makes you a true apprentice." A true apprentice. I love that. Being an apprentice suggests that years and years of learning are involved, years of becoming, but also that there's someone we're learning from. There is someone or someones who lead us and encourage us. As an apprentice, we step into this whole discipleship thing one little cup of cold water at a time. Which means, thankfully, we aren't called to transform the world single-handedly or in some sort of immediate fashion. Rather, we practice our apprenticeship, each in our own unique ways, with our own unique gifts, with one little cup of cold water at a time, whatever that might mean for each of us, all as we learn a kind of love for the world that transforms us. If you are like me, you have felt overwhelmed these last weeks, overwhelmed by new challenges, overwhelmed by new ways of communicating, overwhelmed by so much information. How to practice safe hygiene, social distancing, grocery shopping, even how far away you should really stay from others when you're outside. I have felt overwhelmed many times with worry about our OSL community, our staff, our members, you, with what I am offering or not offering in support and encouragement, in leadership and direction. I have felt overwhelmed with so many realities beyond my control. And I found myself praying the serenity prayer often. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you are like me, you know all too well how easy it is to spend a huge amount of time thinking and acting on things that are fundamentally outside of our control. It reminds me of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The author, Covey, articulates this point by distinguishing between our circle of concern, things we care about but can't control, and our circle of influence, things we care about and can impact. That circle of concern includes the wide range of things in our lives, in the world. This pandemic, people dying, flattening the curve, the economy, our employment, our healthcare system, our extended family's well-being. Everything in our circle of concern is what matters to us. But when we start to analyze that circle, we see that many of our concerns, our worries, are outside of our control, which is why it can be helpful to identify our circle of influence within our circle of concern. Our circle of influence are the things that concern us that we can do something about. We can't control the economy or this global pandemic, but we can focus on our family, on our jobs, or our small acts of service. We can pray and we can look for little joys, for the basic necessities for which to be grateful. And by focusing on the things we can influence, which impact our lives directly, we can also indirectly have an impact on a larger scale. By one little cup of cold water, as Matthew suggests, we contribute good in our world. Our personal positive choices on things within our direct control can have an indirect positive impact on those around us. Covey, the author of the book I mentioned, says that when people proactively focus their efforts on their circles of influence, it can also help to reduce their stress and increase their happiness because they feel productive and more hopeful. On the flip side, when people reactively focus most of their energy on their circle of concern, on the things over which they have little or no control, rather than what they can influence, they end up shrinking that circle of influence even more by neglecting the very tasks and issues they do have some power over. I don't know if this distinction is helpful for you, but it continues to be helpful for me. I have a big circle of concern, but I also have a significant circle of influence, and so do you. You are named and claimed a child of God forever. You have been created with unique gifts, and you are called to live as a disciple in and for our world. What is in your circle of influence? What little cups of cold water can you share within it? May you enjoy the sunshine today. May you find things for which you are grateful, and may you rest in God's promises for you, just as you seek to live into them with the power you have here and now. Peace be with you, my friends, until we meet again.